Hopefully you saw the last stream. We finished some unit tests that we did down here. As you notice, last night I cleaned them up a bit and there was a couple of issues with them, so I corrected them, checked the latest commits for that, but our tests still reflect what we did in terms of showing them graphically within the event model first. So if we open that to the side and get rid of some of this, we can take a look at where we put them, which is down here. And basically we're unit testing the display of the name of the space that we set and kind of testing out event sourcing stuff such that we ignore previous name set events. Just to recap quickly. So each unit test is represented by this row here, any particular row. And so you'll notice here that we have hand rolled our own unit test framework, which isn't too hard to do. So I don't know why the big deal is about getting all libraries in there, etc. Pretty much do whatever you want for each test. You run it. If it returns a false or some other value, it's failed, or it throws an error that's not caught, you also fail. So far, if we run them, as you can see, works, and let's test if they don't work. So in this case, we ignore all the previous names that are set. So we always have an expectation that the last name that we set in the stream of events is the one that's current. And that depends on how we interpret this event stream. And if we go back to the implementation here, which is right here, the state view for open namespace, we notice that in the implementation we have this thing where we reverse the order to make sure the last one is first. Of course, we could just change this logic here, but for now, let's just get rid of the reverse. That's our implementation, and if we run it, we should see failures only on 2 of them, because why are the first 2 still passing? Well, because we only have, in those 2 cases, we have no events. So reordering an array of 0 is not going to cause any issues. And same with just having one event of test 1, whether we're reading it forwards or backwards, it's still going to get the same event back. So that's why these still pass. We get into trouble when we're on this row here, where we are looking at 2 name set events, and obviously if they're in the wrong order, we're going to get, we're supposed to actually, let's correct this, because we're supposed to see the event modeling space. That's a correction, right? And so EM open spaces here, we show that the name is the correct one there. Of course, we should be using these names in the test data, so let's do that. This is supposed to be EM open spaces, and of course if21, and of course this will be event modeling space. Right, and then we have on here, we have event modeling open spaces as the last one. And of course, we also have the date as here, the 21st, then the 22nd, and the 23rd. Sorry, that was 22nd. Oops, Control Z. All right, so that's so one of the things that we had to do last night to make all this work is not rely on the name of the file, because we encode these, as you can see, with both the timestamp, the ID, and then the name of the event. So when it comes to testing and being removed from any dependencies on the system or other external libraries, we can't rely on the file system. So what I did is I added the actual type in here that's hardwired in so that we can get that. I know I can get the constructor name and things like that, but I want it to be a little bit more explicit and not lean too much on JavaScript or the particular language. So that's, hold on a second. I got close the closet, which is looking gross in the background. Okay, now let's continue with this test. So this should still look okay. But yeah, back to here, we really wanted to make sure that we have an events function, which allows us to inject whatever we want, and the events function can take a filter. So now we're actually looking at that type internally. So we don't have any opinion as to this is depending on the file system. So it's important that this state view does not know that we're looking at the file system or we're getting passed in an array in terms of a test setup. And that's where the difference is. So if we actually look at the implementation, we have this get all events here function that we pass. And get all events really is in the real implementation. So get all events will go into the file system. And this is where we do have the filtering on the filter function once we get all of that. So we're not really parsing anything on the actual file name as we did before. And we're filtering on the actual events themselves that pass by. So it's less efficient. We're actually reading all of that, which is fine. We will evolve this to show how inefficient that is to parse every single file just to figure out which events we're interested in. And that's where we'll start to make these state views use some memoization or caching, etc., or be more like live reports and materialized views, which can also just be stored in files, which is okay. And it's a good lesson in cache invalidation and all sorts of other concepts, which are actually quite easy to implement when you think of these systems as just handling information and not some complex computer science algorithms. So we'll get to that. And for now, it's obviously performing just fine with the few events that we have. It'll continue to handle hundreds of these files without any impact to how fast this is. Now, again, if we scale this across, something that's going to be hosted on one single server and have thousands of users using it at the same time, then we're going to get into some issues. But that's not a problem yet. So let's continue. So hopefully this makes sense in terms of this, and let's fix that bug, because we added that bug and we need to reverse this sort order so that we have tests that work again. So now that we have that, we should have our tests running again. Oops. Oh, right. We changed the name of our, we're in the middle of changing this name in our tests to make it look exactly. So we have EM open spaces. And then so here, of course, We can do EM open spaces. AI is smart enough to know that that's what we want, which is good. So again, we should be able to show that okay, that did fix it, which is good. Now this one here has a problem as well. It pulled down EM modeling open space. I think that's correct. So let's just see if we fix that test. We did, okay. Next one, we have this test 3, which it knows it's the last one here, event modeling open spaces. So we tab, notice that it grabbed. It's not actually looking at this, I don't think, or maybe it is. Cursory eye seems to be quite good in terms of getting really excellent context, but I think it's actually just looking at the code up here, understanding that we have this collection, and it's inferring that from here. It's not actually looking at the event model, although that's the next step. As we get better encodings for event models, there's no reason why, you know, if we see a collection of tests shown like this in an event model, why it can't auto-generate what we did here quite easily. As you can see, the parallel, how parallel this effort is. So now we're actually using the same thing as this. I think we corrected the last one. Let's just run the tests. And yeah, we got them all passing, which is great. So we've refactored this mess. We have one more test here where we throw in a date set event. So let's do that. Let's take care of the last bit here and add the last event. So new, and what do we call those events? Date range set. So this is setting the date range for our event. Date range set event, and let's just make it realistic what we have here, which is start and end. Well, we have it as a single day event, but let's make it a 2-day event for fun. So we'll do 6th and 7th. Oops, that's corrected. And so we have June 6th. I mean, with these kind of dates, you kind of see why this date format is the best one. Really not very hard to figure out what's going on. And of course, oh, it did increase the date by 1, which is good of that. So now we have 4. And now we must show that we have another test, and that the name is test open space name SV with all 4 events, or actually with inconsequential event. And let's see, it's okay, so it's basically saying that we want 3 slice 2. Okay, so it has all of that. This has to actually be test stream.slice. This takes the 4 now. Sorry, the first 3. And this takes the 4. I don't want to just pass all of them because I want a nice pattern to follow. I know that I could just remove the whole slice. But I like to explicitly say take the first 4. In case I add more tests, this should be fine. So let's just put a question mark to make sure that this fails first. Of course, we're not testing that filtration, which we should be, but let's just see. We should have a failing test at the end. Yep. Where we got this L here and all that. So it should still be the same. If we get rid of that and go in here, we should have all. Oh, we don't. we got expected space native and modeling spaces. Got, okay, so we aren't filtering out the last one, which is interesting. So maybe we don't have that implemented properly. Let's make sure we do. Where is it here? There it is. So we're making sure that we have an open. Okay, so we should be filtering these out with event type. Oh, date range set event. This has that. Okay, so why is it not populating? It's not even setting the other one. So I think there's some logic code. So the last event, we're doing that, sorting them. So why is this not filtering on this? So last event, space name, and so a space name is somehow not getting properly set here. We're getting nothing on here, which probably means, well, it's not even getting a space name at all. So there's like an undefined thing here. Let's check our test data. And I'm going to have to go in another minute here. This is a very short stream today. I'm going to not commit this because this is not working. I'm going to cut this for now. I do want to make sure that things are working. Right, so git add a, what do we do? Oh, we just renamed stuff so that the tests are better named. Git commit fixed up test data to reflect event model. Let's have that, make sure that that's done, and then we can continue on with this issue that we're having here. Let's just double check that we have. So we are taking enough of this test stream slice. Oh, I think I know. This slice is a problem probably because this is not, actually no, it should be taking everything, and this other one should be filtering it out. Expected, let's just see how it's failing again, just to make sure we're reading this correctly. So we have the expected, the space, yeah, that's what it's failing. Maybe if we have, yeah, so we have that. Let's take a look. I'm quite surprised that this is not working the way I thought it would. Okay, so gets all of the events. We can write out the JSON from there, I think. Because we passed in everything. So if we console.log the events function, and we just write out each event. Events function, don't give me everything. Events function, don't press tab, press enter on that. And here we do event goes to And in fact, we just put the log in here, don't we? Event goes to console.log, and then we do JSON dot stringify event. That'll give us more output. Let's see if we're actually getting the right things here. We're not getting anything. That's odd. So events function for each event. That's very strange. Open the space name SV. Why is it blank? Okay, so it's getting there. Why is it not invoking this? So the events function. Okay, because we're getting called with a different events function. What are we getting passed in? We're getting something that gives us. Okay, so there's nothing here. Then it's getting a slice of this test stream. So we're getting a function actually that's getting passed in, which gives us a slice. So let's see what we get. So we have this events function. Oh, we should be calling the events function, which we are. Okay, so if we just call the events function, we will get what we need, and then for each, and then event, I think that's what we do. Console log JSON stringify event. Yeah, that's the correct thing. Okay, good. So we do have this. Okay, so here we're getting past everything. Here we're getting past the first two, then we're getting past the first three, and then we're getting past the first four. Start date, end date, timestamp, ID, type is the other one. And then we have a problem. It's not grabbing that one. So let's see why not. So if we have the last event here, let's break this down to say relevant events, const relevant events. I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to come back for a second stream to finish this. So I'm going to go for a run, and then I'm going to come back and finish this. So if you want, I can push this up, and if you've been watching, you can try and solve it yourself here. I think we just got a few issues on this last bit that I just have to work through to isolate why it's not getting that last relevant event. So I will push this up. And last test failing, you can't get last relevant event. So I'll push this up, and then I'll come back and fix it. So again, see you in a bit. Second stream, bonus stream coming up today. So I'll see you